Hello everyone, in this video I'll be showing you a Knowledge Domain Cleric build guide for in Baldur's Gate 3. So the Knowledge Cleric is kind of like a jack of all trades with the skills. They do have some interesting feats that they bring to the table, so I want to make a build on this because it is one of the more neglected classes in Baldur's Gate 3. And I don't think it's terrible because clerics are definitely an S tier class overall. So I'm going to be going through the full Knowledge Cleric and giving you the best options to give it a very powerful build. So we're going to go with the Knowledge Cleric here. As for our cantrips, I think it's good to have Resistance, Guidance, and Sacred Flame. Although Produce Flame is probably a better choice than Resistance, so we'll go with something like that. Now, Produce Flame can critical hit, so it makes it actually a really good cantrip to use. And the Knowledge Cleric adds their Wisdom modifier to the damage of cantrips, making this actually not a bad build. So we're going to go with the Knowledge Cleric there. We get Command for free and Sleep, which basically levels 1 through 3 of the game. If you use Sleep, it just takes them out of the battle, basically, because there's a lot of goblins that you can literally just use Sleep on, and they'll go to sleep. So for our ability scores, we're going to want to have a high Wisdom, high Constitution, and high Dexterity. Ideally, we would take our Dexterity up to 16, have our Constitution at 14, and then our Wisdom at 16. And then we can also move the Charisma points into Strength as well. So something like 12 Strength, 16 Dexterity, 14 Constitution, and 16 Wisdom works well. Wisdom is going to be our main spell casting, and for Dexterity, that's just going to improve our overall armor class. Although if you want, you can. I'm using a specific set of gauntlets here, but you can go with the Gloves of Dexterity and dump your Dexterity and put the rest into Strength. But that's what we're going to go with there for our level 1. So the Cleric is very powerful, and the Knowledge Cleric is pretty strong too, as it's still, at the end of the day, a Cleric. So for our level 2 spells, we get to choose what we want prepared. I think it's best to have both Healing Word for the bonus action heal. It brings up your teammates, as well as Guiding Bolt to give it advantage to the next attack roll. That can be pretty nice. Bless is essential early game. Bless up to 3 creatures plus 1d4 to attack rolls and saving throws. So that increase to attack rolls really helps early on. Create or Destroy Water is just a very useful spell, especially if you got anything that can use lightning or cold damage, as this will double it and you can use it outside of combat. So to double damage, it's definitely something you want. And Sanctuary is really nice. You or an ally cannot be targeted until you attack or harm a creature. Just good early game survivability. Now level 2 we get the Art of the Ages, and this is the big feature of the Knowledge Domain Cleric is the Knowledge of the Ages. The Githyanki race does get something similar, but this gives you proficiency in all skills of a chosen ability, and this uses your channel divinity, and this also lasts until long rest. So you can have that pretty much, you pop it when you start and just continue on, and it's very situational but good. We also get Turn Undead here. It's the usual action you get for being a cleric. At level 3, we're going to take another spell here with Spiritual Weapon. This is just really great early game. It's a bonus action summon. So when you're in combat, you can bring up the Spiritual Weapon. It gives the enemy something else to target and attack, and it does some pretty okay damage itself. So you definitely want to have your Spiritual Weapon up. For other level 2 spells, Prayer of Healing can be really good. So it's like a emergency heal, I guess, so it's probably not best to even take at this level. But we also get our Hold Person, so that's not one that we want to take there because it's going to be a domain spell, and Calm Emotion. So Hold Person is one of the most underrated spells in the entire game. This holds an enemy still. They can't move, act, or react, and attacks within 3 meters are always critical hits. This can be upcast to multiple targets, and it just shuts them down. If you have a lot of marshals, you definitely want to take that because it's just good to be able to lock an enemy in place, let your team critical hit it, and then they're just out of the battle. So our next cantrip, I would take Resistance. For prepared spells, Prayer of Healing, because there's some early game items that we can get that can spread bonuses. Like the gloves that I have here will get Blade Ward, which is huge, and then we can also proc Blade Ward on ourselves using this. As for the feat, ability improvements are a really great one. Some people like taking Warcaster advantage on saving throws to maintain concentration on spells. So when we get Spiritual Guardians up, this is going to be useful there. And a reaction Shocking Grasp is always nice. But I think it's best to take up our Wisdom to 18, as it's going to be our spellcasting modifier. Now at level 5 we get Destroy Undead, so whenever we turn an undead it deals 1d4 radiant damage as well. And then we get our level 3 spells, which are pretty huge. So we get an extra spell slot because we increase our Wisdom. And we're going to go with, we can take off Prayer of Healing and take the Better Mass Healing Word, as this is a bonus action as well. Animate Dead is really good, but we're going to want to take Spirit Guardians, as this is a really great concentration. 3 to 24 radiant damage or necrotic, and this can be upcast. You get another 1d8 die every time you upcast it, so pretty much always have concentration on Spirit Guardians, have Longstrider, and have Shadowheart run around. It's pretty strong. Animate Dead is really good, so is Glyph of Warding. I think Glyph of Warding is better for this build, as you can set this up outside of combat. Doesn't require concentration, you just put it on the ground, and you can also, it has synergy if next level we want to take Animate Dead, which I'll get into. You can do a sleep glyph, and it'll put targets to sleep, and it won't affect your undead. We also get the permanent Speak with the Dead, which is nice. There is a necklace you get at the very start of the game that has this, but it's still nice to have it prepared always. So you have that, and slow. So you can target up to 6 creatures, slow them, movement and actions are affected, and their AC and dexterity saves are reduced by 2. So that's just a nice concentration to have, but I feel like it's almost better to go with other concentrations, though it is dependent on what you need. So at the next level we get Speak of Animals, Channel Divinity, which is really nice. That just allows us to be more of a helpful part to our team. And Read Thoughts, so focus your mind, read the thoughts of certain creatures while talking to them. So you get that as a Channel Divinity, which is nice just to have. It can have some usefulness in combat, or in dialogue, so definitely good. I do think the best option next is Animate Dead. So create an Undead Servant. If there's a corpse in your body, you can raise the dead. I really like having a Necromancer, Wizard, or a Spore Druid on the team, but if you don't have one of those, I would take Animate Dead and just pop one up whenever you see a corpse, because it's just a good ability to have extra bodies. The Baldur's Gate 3 combat is all about the action economy, so if you have a lot of creatures on the field, it's better to balance it out with creatures of your own to take hits and to be able to exchange damage. So create Undead, or Animate Undead, very underrated spell. And the Cleric is interesting in how it can work. So next spells, we got level 4. So I like Shield of, or Guardian of Faith, call forth a Divine Guardian that attacks nearby enemies. Anytime it deals damage, the Guardian loses equal amount of hit points. So it can be nice. You can put it inside of like a globe of invulnerability, which is pretty funny because it can still attack outside of it. So we're going to go with that for a level 4 spell. And then we also get Autoluke's Resilient Spear, enclose a target in a spear of Shimmering Force, blocking all coming damage and spell effects. You can also just lock an enemy in place with that, so that can be useful. And Confusion. This is like a fireball version of crowd control. So when you drop this, it causes targets to move around at random. It hits a huge area, so it's actually a really good spell to get. A lot of people say that the Knowledge Cleric is not that great, but you do get some really good options. Now, at level 8, we get the Potent Spellcasting. You can add your Wisdom modifier to the damage you deal with Cleric cantrips. That is huge. And for our next leveled spell, Freedom of Movement can be nice if you have like a martial class that gets stuck somewhere, because you can use this to free them and get them moving again. Death Ward protects a creature from death. The next time a damage reduces 0 hit points and remains conscious with 1 health point left. That can be nice, but we have gloves that will give that as well. And Banish can be okay, but Banish only works on targets under 50 health, which is, I mean, it can be decent, but it requires a concentration for 2 turns, so. Revivify is pretty decent. Revive a companion. I think it's just good to have that overall. And ability improvement. I would say dexterity as well, maybe, if you want 1 more armor class, 1 more initiative, or increased wisdom spellcasting, which is kind of the focus of this, so we'll go with that. Now we get to take some pretty fun spells at level 5. I think that Planar Binding is a great concentration. Target an underworldly creature, attach your consciousness to its own, it becomes an ally and fights with you for 10 turns. Concentration, but you can have this attack other creatures, and it's pretty huge. It works on elementals, fae, fiends, and celestials, so like any of the divas, genies, cambions, as well as all the elementals it works on, so it's actually really good. Flaming Strike gives us a 5d6 fire and radiant damage, and that's just a nice damage spell to have. Insect Plague is also pretty great because it gives piercing damage in difficult terrain on an area, but it does require concentration. It's kind of like Cloud of Daggers, but piercing damage is better in Baldur's Gate 3, as there's so many ways that you can set up piercing damage resistance or remove resistances. So we'll go with something like this for our spells. And we also get Telekinesis, so throw a creature up to 18 meters. And once per turn, you can use Telekinesis again without using a spell slot. So that's pretty nice as well. As well as Dominate Person, which is really great concentration late game. We got the the Cambion Celestial version of that with the Planar Binding, but Dominate Person is also a really good crowd control spell, so that's why we want the high 20 Wisdom. Next we have the Divine Intervention, which gives you a nice mace, or it can help out. I would recommend you using it during Shadowheart's main quest line, because it's very cool. We'll take Light or Blade Ward. We have stuff to set up Blade Ward, so it's not a huge deal. And then for our next spell, I would probably go with Insect Plague. Just crowd control is good, and that is a pretty solid crowd control option. And then level 6. I think that my personal favorite is actually Planar Ally, because you get to choose it's like a free summon. It's like Conjure Elemental, but you get a Diva, Genie, or a Cambion, which is really nice. Blade Barrier can be okay. It makes difficult terrain. It's kind of like Insect Plague. Hero's Feast does have a lot of usefulness, though. Increases overall temporary health. Gives you wisdom saves with advantage, and prevents you from being poisoned, diseased, or frightened. It can be a really great option as well, and Harm is pretty nice too, but it doesn't kill targets, which makes it limited use. Create Undead is also really great. Get a mummy to fight by your side, but there is a ring that can give you this for free, and it doesn't take a level 6 spell slot, so we can go with that as well. So that is level 11, and then for our final level we get another. Now I want to do a full build with just taking cleric spells opposed to multi-classing, because sometimes people don't love the multi-class builds when they're looking for just maybe it's their first time playing and you want to use a knowledge domain, and you don't want to have the multi-classes. Heal actually has some interesting interaction with the Dark Urge, so you can take that if you want to go that route. I would recommend waiting till a certain moment to use that, but Create Undead is really good, so we're going to go with that personally. But again, Heal, Blade Barrier, and Hero's Feast, any level 6 spell is good. Just depends on where you think is most useful for yourself. And then finally, we'll take our Dexterity up to 18, as that is pretty good. So we can use items to increase Dexterity and our Constitution. So we'll get into the gear for this in just a second here. So we have a nice crisp 29 armor class, which is just crazy. It's very strong. So what we can actually do is... where's this ring here? There's a specific ring that will actually benefit us a lot. Yeah, here we go. And Shadowheart's hair seems to change color every time that I put items on. So Helm of Baldur heals you for 2 at the start of every turn. Now, what's cool is the Whispering Promise. When you heal a creature, it gets a 1d4 bonus to attack rolls and saving throws. This will proc when you heal yourself. So not only when we heal targets, but the Helm of Baldur will allow us to get that. And it gives us Blade Ward at the start of turn. And... when you revive a creature, it gives you Death Ward. You also get the Revivify spell. So I think that these 3 items work together extremely well, because you can heal yourself for 2, and then you get Blade Ward, which halves. All physical damage becomes half, which is massive. And then Whispering Promise increase attack rolls and saving throws. So you're going to have better resistance to spells. +1 armor class and saving throw from Cloak of Protection is awesome. Armor of Agility gives you the ability to add your full Dexterity modifier to your armor class. If you went with 20 Dexterity, you could get your armor class up to 30. The Reviving Hands gives you that Blade Ward to half physical damage. And then +1 Acrobatics armor class. Viconia's Walking Fortress. When you foe hits you with a melee attack, you can use your reaction, dealing 2 to 8 force damage to knock it prone. And you have advantage on saving throws against spells. Spell attack rolls have disadvantage on you. So that's pretty huge. And we also get Warding Bond. I'm using the Defender's Flail, but this isn't the best. I would recommend going with like a Dexterity-based weapon. So you can go with like... if you want to set up your team, the Crimson Dagger can be nice for hitting with... adding critical hit... or increasing your critical hit chance, but also giving vulnerability to piercing damage. It's also fine to go with like a staff if you want like a Marka Heshker, because this can be an interesting one to pair alongside a cleric, because then this will give you some different spells. Like you can use the Kareska's Favor and get yourself Chain Lightning, which is really nice. So that can be an option there, as if you want a really powerful spell, you got a couple right there. So you don't just have to use physical, because most of the time you're going to be spellcasting or crowd controlling. But you can also go with like a versatile weapon that's just going to allow you to... I guess the Stillmaker or something like that, but I picked the Defender Flare, fully +1 armor class. Now, with our health, we only have 87, so we have the Amulet of Devout plus 2 spell save DC, which is really nice, and additional Channel Divinity, which is awesome. But I also think the Amulet of Greater Health is good because that'll take our health up from 87 to 135, so that's pretty big. And it gives us advantage on Constitution saving throws, allowing us to cast our Spirit Guardians and not break on concentration on it, so that's huge. Ring of Protection for +1 armor class, and the free, this gives you Bless on heal. What's nice about this is whenever we go and heal our team, everyone gets the nice benefits. So we got Bless there and Blade Ward for 2 turns. So we get that every single turn as the Cleric with the Helm of Baldur or any other healing item. If you have the Ring of Regeneration, this also works. So this gives you a 1 to 4 health at the beginning of the turn, and that'll proc both of those as well. But yeah, the main focus of this, it would be to have your spirit weapon up, so summon in the spirit weapon. You can use this as a bonus action, so if you don't get it right away, that's also fine. Then we can go with like a glyph. You got options like sleep. I think that cold and lightning are kind of the 2 best, because what you can do with that is whenever you put the glyph down, targets that run across it with create water will take double damage. We have our knowledge for the ages. This is what makes the knowledge cleric so good. So you can go with like charisma, knowledge, dexterity, and it'll say which of the following you'll get. So charisma gives you intimidation, deception, performance, and persuasion. Dexterity gives you acrobatics, sleight of hand, stealth. History, arcana, investigation, nature, and religion. Strength gives you athletics, and then animal handling, insight, medicine, perception, and survival from wisdom. So pretty nice. It will stack with the Githyanki one, so that's kind of cool that you can use both of them alongside each other. But it's nice just to be able to cast this on yourself and give yourself a little bit of a boost. And then we also have, what's really nice is the elemental, or the what's this called, planar ally here. So you can call in something like a diva there to just go and completely just wreck the team, because they have some pretty powerful, like this one comes with a smite, attack, and revivify. The Cambion's pretty good too, but it has a good amount of health, 136, and you can call that in with your glyphs. You can call in your you can do things like hold person, but the big focus of this would obviously be Spirit Guardians. Upcast, you can do 6 to 48 damage with it. It's really crazy, even at level 5 to 40 damage. And then Spirit Guardians there's the necrotic one. So you just run around and it'll damage everyone. You can even do something like this where you would kind of bait your enemies into coming towards you and getting hit with a glyph. Produce Flame is going to be your main damage option early game. So at level 11 you get it up to 3 to 24 damage. So it can be a pretty good option for damage. It's not the best, but it is an option that can critical hit. So that's really nice. Then we also get the free Speak with Animals, Speak with the Undead. We have the Guardian of Faith as well. So we got lots of options for survivability. We have great crowd control with Telekinesis, Dominate Person, Autoluke's Resilient Sphere, Confusion, Slow, Turn Undead, and Command. So very powerful build, the Knowledge Domain Cleric. I hope you found this video useful, and if you did, please hit the subscribe button below, and I'll see you all in the next video.